Hello, this is my attempt at recording my lesson on SI units. Did this doing a Google Meet today for a number of students who did attend, so thank y'all for doing that. But just in case there were kids who couldn't make it, I wanted to make a video of it as well, so that you could at least see what the Google slides are about, what I'm talking about. Anyway, so first, you need to know that SI units is the same thing as the metric system. That's the biggest stumbling block that I see here when I start teaching this, or when kids are asked a question about it. They see something about SI unit and they go, I don't know what an SI unit is. Yes, you do. Like, no, we're not Canadian, but we do know what the metric system is. You know, we're not completely hidden from it. So you need to know that just it's SI because it's Système International. So it was invented by a Frenchman, and he named it in the French manner, which is putting system before international. Système International. So it's just the international system of units. It's supposed to be this international system. Anyway, we've had this conversation in class before. Now, I've only written these 6 prefixes up here. Please know that there are plenty more. You know already that a kilobyte, you can also have a megabyte and a gigabyte and a terabyte and all those. So it gets bigger. Also gets smaller than milli. There's pico and nano and micro and all of those things smaller. So but these are the most common ones. Now, you've also got to realize that I see deca like never. Hecto, the only time I really see that one is talking about land, like a hectacre. You know, when someone's talking about, it's a 40 hectacre farm or whatever, otherwise, kilometer, kilogram, you've heard those. Deci is kind of meh, sort of maybe used, but certainly centi and milli. I mean, decade, that one. Anyway, centi and milli are certainly used a lot. Now, there's a blank here in the middle on the worksheet that's on Google Classroom, and that blank is for the unit. That's a placeholder for the unit, and the unit itself depends on what you're measuring. So if you're measuring mass, the unit is going to be gram. If you're measuring volume, the unit's going to be liter. If you're measuring length, the unit's going to be meter. So what goes on that blank right there depends on what you're measuring. But that blank unit is, always there, so you need to hang on to it. Down at the bottom of the worksheet in part A, what you're supposed to do is name the looking at what's given. So it says grams per milliliter, and then you look over here at the word bank and decide, well, what is that measuring? If I saw some things that said something grams per milliliter, what does that mean? What is it measuring? So if you're looking at grams per milliliter, gram is measured in mass, and milliliter would measure volume. Well, mass over volume, we've talked about this before. Where do you go to get your density license? At the DMV, right? So mass over volume is going to be density. So number 1 is density. 2 is S, second. So that's time. 3, km, meter, or meter, length. G, gram. So that's mass. Number 5 is centimeter cubed. Now, centimeters cubed is the same as a milliliter. So that's volume. Centimeters cubed is how you measure the volume of a solid. Milliliters is how you measure the volume of a liquid. Number 6, mm, meter. So length. Number 7, mg, g, gram, mass. Number 8, L, liter, volume. And number 9 is grams per centimeter cubed. And we know centimeter cubed is volume. So that's, again, mass over volume. So it's density. At the top of the next page, all you have to do is fill in the abbreviation for each of the things here. So milliliter is a lowercase m, capital L. Kilogram. Now, technically, you're supposed to use the capital K because it's on this side of the unit, but it's become universally accepted to use the lowercase k. Meter is just an M. Milligram, mg. Millimeter, mm. Liter, capital L. Kilometer, km. Second, S. Centimeter, cm. And gram, g. Then underneath that, you're still doing the same thing, giving the abbreviation of the proper unit of measurement. But this time you've got to actually read the description and decide what makes the most sense. So for this first one, colas may be purchased in 2 or 3 blank bottles. Now, all right, I know that we don't live in Canada, but we do buy things in this size here. When you go to the store and you get a bottle of soda, right, it's liters. So you're going to put a capital L there, 2 or 3 L, capital L bottles. The mass of a bowling ball is 7.25. All right, we know it's mass, and we know mass is grams. But 7.25 grams for a bowling ball wouldn't make any sense. 7.25 grams is like a handful of paper clips. So a kilogram is about 2 pounds. Most bowling balls are 12 to 16 pounds. So 7.25 kilograms, that makes sense. So kg there for number 2. Number 3, the length of a common housefly. All right, we know we're measuring length. Length is meter. But a housefly. Now, a millimeter would be way too small. That's like a gnat. So centimeter is the one that makes the most sense here. Number 3 is 1 cm. Number 4, the mass of a paperclip. All right. This one's debatable because those little paper clips are about a milligram. But the ones that Ms. Harris likes to use, those bigger ones, those are about a gram. So gram, milligram, both are acceptable. 1 teaspoon of cough syrup has a volume. All right, we know volume, so it's liter. But can you imagine drinking a liter of cough syrup? So you know it's not that. Now, think way back to when you were a kid and your parents gave you liquid medicine and had a little cup. Yes, it had ml on it, didn't it? Okay, so 1 teaspoon of cough syrup has a volume of 5 ml. Stand with your arm raised to your side. Distance from your nose to your arm is about a meter length. And this one's true. On a statistical basis, smoking a single cigarette lowers your life expectancy by about 642,000 S for seconds, or 10.7 minutes. Okay, so back when I started teaching at Nottoway, I had 2 kids in my homeroom who were Kajira and Derek, and that homeroom came up with the mnemonic, Kajira hugged Derek until Derek cried mama. And we loved it and we laughed. And I tried to get all the rest of my periods to make up a different one, but they didn't want to. They loved it. They wanted to use that one. So then the next year I said, all right, guys, you guys make up a new one. No, they knew those 8th graders because they were, 7th graders when they were 8th graders. So they wanted to use that one. So we did. And it continued until now, where those kids have graduated like 2 or 3 or 4 years ago, and I can't change. Feel free to come up with your own mnemonic, but you need something to help you remember KHDUDCM. You've got to remember that KHDUDCM so that you can write that out quickly at the top of the page whenever you've got to do a conversion. At the bottom, part C, at the bottom of that second page, part C, if you've printed it out, write out KHDUDCM, and that'll really help with what we're getting ready to work on, because you're going to move from one to the other depending on what the prefix tells you to do, and you'll just move the same direction it says, just move the decimal point. The one trip up you got to remember is that when it's an M by itself, it's meter. And so that means it's the unit. You're only going to use this M when it's MG, ML, or MM. If it's M by itself, you're going to use U for unit. That's the big step that I see people stumble over doing this. And you'll see what I mean in just a minute. So the first one says 1,000 milligrams, and it equals how many grams? So we're going to start on M. We're going to end on unit. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3 that way. So do the same thing with the decimal. 1, 2, 3. So 1 gram. The next one is 160 centimeters. And we're converting that to millimeters. And so we're going to go from centi to milli. So that's just 1 that way. So 1 that way, we fill that in with a 0. 1,600 millimeters. Okay, the next one is 109 grams. And we want to know how many kilograms is that. So we're going to go from unit to K. So that's 1, 2, 3 that way. So 1, 2, 3 makes it 109. And yes, you should put a 0 in front of that. Sorry, I'm kind of lazy. All right, 250 meters equals how many kilometers? So we're going from, see, here it is right here. This one people get wrong all the time because they go from milli all the way to kilo, and they needed to go from unit to kilo. So from unit to kilo is 1, 2, 3. So that's 1, 2, 3.25. All right, 14 kilometers equals how many meters? So again, people go from kilo all the way to milli, and it's too much. We're going from kilo to unit. 1, 2, 3. So we just need to add 1, 2, 3 zeros. All right. 1 liter equals how many milliliters? So we're going from unit to milli. So that's 1, 2, 3. So we're going to add 3 zeros. $480 centimeters equals how many meters? So we're going from centi to M? Nope. From centi to unit. So 1, 2 that way. 1, 2. 4.8 meters. And then 27 grams equals how many kilograms? Okay, we're going to start on unit and on kilo. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 0.27. What I want you to do is go ahead and do the other 2 columns. And if you're able to join us for one of the Google Meets, you can check your Google Classroom or your email for the codes to get into those. If not, I'll post another video tomorrow with the answers to these and with the lesson that I'm doing tomorrow in Google Meets. I hope this helped somebody. Love you guys. Take care of yourselves. Make good decisions.